Hello, it's Jeannie. How are you? I am well, and I wanted to talk to you about one of the reasons I am overall doing so well, and a little bit about my wellness journey, and I'd like to introduce you to my doctor and friend, most importantly, Dr. Mila McManus of the Woodlands Institute for Health and Wellness. And before we get started, I just want to say this isn't like a typical ASMR video. We'll try and keep it, calm and not too crazy. But
I'll do my best.
So I'll give you a quick introduction of my experience with Mila. I met her about 14 years ago. Yeah, okay. Through friends. And when she said she was a functional doctor, first of all, I didn't know what that was. And secondly, I thought it was quackery. Just because I just made a snap judgment. And so we were chatting throughout the night, and I learned she was an actual physician, MD. So the quackery part went away, in a way. And I mentioned that I had been having migraines. It came up. And she said, "Do you have any food sensitivities?" And I said, "Of course I don't. I would know." She said, "Really? How?" Because I would know. And because I'm just that smart. And I'd been having migraines, severe migraines, 1 to 2 a month since I was a teen. Anyway, long story short, I met up with Mila. I did a food sensitivity test. Eggs came up screaming, and the yolks and the whites. So I was like, SOL. And I gave up eggs. I've tested it a few times, and I'm not cured yet, so I still avoid eggs. So anyway, with that blah, 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 let me introduce you to Dr. Mila McManus. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me on your show today. This is so fun.
It is so my honor. I've talked about you in the past, and a little bit here and there about my wellness journey and how you recommended this book, Gut and Psychology Syndrome, to me, saying that everything starts in the gut. Mm-hmm. And so what I want to ask you is tell us a little bit, I guess, about your journey in medicine and your testimony in medicine and what led you to what you're doing now.
Sure. Okay, I'd be happy to. Well, I'll try to make this a short story, but I was sickly from the time I was born, Jeannie. And I, had horrible allergies, colic as a baby, eczema as a baby, and I remember having trouble going to the bathroom as long as I can remember, even starting to use a toilet.
Wow.
And started on allergy shots when I was 5. And I just kept getting sicker and sicker. And so when I got to middle school, I had horrible acne and was on antibiotics for years for that.
Wow, is this sounding familiar to anybody?
And then when I got to high school, I had pretty horrible periods and PMS symptoms and anxiety and depression issues, mood swings in general, sleep trouble, and I can't remember anything else at the moment. And I just thought, why are my siblings, they seem to be perfectly healthy. Why am I so unhealthy? And my parents would take me to doctor after doctor, and I just, didn't really get anywhere. Nobody ever asked me what my diet looked like. And so I grew up eating whatever I wanted, and I got to pick out whatever I wanted at the grocery stores, and my mom would take us to our favorite fast food place at least once a week, and I kind of grew up on honey buns and cereal and
ding dongs and ho-hos
and canned tuna with Kraft mac and cheese casserole. Oh, that was one of my faves because I could make that all by myself. So
The little homemaker.
didn't really learn how to cook. So,
That wasn't cooking?
yeah, so I just kept getting sicker. Went to college, issues continued. And so I just thought, you know what? I'm going to go to medical school and I'm going to figure this out for myself. I'm going to learn how to fix myself. And unfortunately, that's not what happened. So in medical school, my issues got worse because my stress got worse. I was completely sleep deprived for 4 years from studying and being on call and things like that. And I graduated from residency. I did my residency in family medicine, so I am still board certified in family medicine. But I graduated from residency on at least 12 prescription medications, and I had never felt worse in my life.
Wow.
And that's just what I learned to do in medical school.
So were you getting medicines to alleviate, reactions and symptoms from the other medicines, and it was just kind of a snowball effect?
Oh, I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. I was on at least 3 allergy medications. Remember, I was on shots from the age of 5. My allergies just got worse and worse and worse over the years. And I was on, one of the SSRIs. I've tried them all. Take your favorite pick. And for the depression and anxiety. And I was on Ambien to sleep, and I was on reflux medication and headache medication, and I had chronic neck pain. So, I was on taking things for pain alleviation all the time. And then, the last straw for me was I was into my family practice, I'd started my own practice, and within a few months, I realized, oh my gosh, I got to get on blood pressure medicine now. I'm like, I am way too young to be on blood pressure medicine. Never mind all the other 12 prescription medications.
Oh my God.
Right? So I just, and then there must have been some sort of divine intervention. And I had the opportunity to train with at the time it was called wellness or holistic medicine doctor in our area, who was really the pioneer in our area. And everything that came out of his mouth when I went to this dinner that I was invited to spoke deeply to me. Like, this makes sense. What I just learned in medical school didn't make this kind of sense. And I started to get a little angry. Why? This makes way more sense. Why didn't I learn this in medical school? All I learned how to do was cut things out of the body and prescribe a pill for every ill.
Prescribe a pill for every ill. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I don't, but it sounds good.
But it's true.
It's a jingle.
It's true. So I immediately got on board with that and trained on that and put myself through it. And it was at the age of 30, the first time in my life to be practically allergy free, to have normal blood pressure, to lose weight, to, without really trying, just eating right instead of living on all the things I grew up on. You still miss that stuff.
Sure.
But I don't miss feeling like I used to, right?
Oh my gosh.
And just living with these horrible issues. And so, yeah, I cleaned up my diet and I cleaned up my gut health and I balanced my hormones, and voila, within 6 months, I was off every single one of those medications.
Now, as a doctor, wearing your white coat and meeting with patients who are coming in saying, I've got allergies, I've got this, I've got that, and you're prescribing the pill for the ill, how did you start feeling about those patients? And you know what I mean? You're writing for.
Yeah. Well, I felt sorry for them, and I felt sorry for me, because when I started practicing the holistic alternative wellness medicine, now called functional medicine, or personalized medicine, there's a lot of different terms used out there. But I started out doing it twice a week and seeing my regular family practice patients 3 days a week. But it was such a conflict in my mind of refilling all these drugs 3 days a week, getting people off these drugs 2 days a week.
Oh my gosh, what a conflict.
Yeah, so I had to leave. I had to leave conventional medicine. And so I practiced family medicine for right around 1 year or less before I jumped ship into functional medicine. So I've been doing functional medicine for 20 years now.
That's in thinking back about my headaches. I saw doctor after doctor after doctor, and the first thing they did was ruled out a brain tumor. Okay, I had the scans. Nope, you don't have a brain tumor. So now it's finding the pill to work. And so here comes the headache, and I'm just a guinea pig with pills because they can't see inside my head enough to fix it.
Yeah.
But it was just drugs, 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 drugs. And not having to take, for me, and it was only migraines in my life.
And even with those medications, you were out 2 to 3 days, right?
Even with the medications, I was still losing time. And I was telling Dr. McManus that I added up the time I lost 2 migraines in my life. And the migraine for me was 2 to 3 days out on the couch or in the room, dark, and nothing got accomplished. Life was hard. And it started in my teens. So I did an average. And I lost approximately 6 years of my life to pain in my head. And just getting a new pill and trying something new and just learning I didn't have a brain tumor. And that was it. And it was when it was giving up eggs. And I ate eggs maybe 5-6 times a week. I was really mad, and I think I started texting you when I got my results. Like, eggs! I love eggs! It's got to be something else, like mustard or broccoli or Brussels sprouts. Why eggs? I love eggs. But, like you said, I didn't like how I felt. And I have tested this over the last 14 years. I'm going to eat eggs and see if I'm cured, and I'm not. So here's what I was thinking, is that I had a food allergy. It wasn't an allergy. My throat didn't close up. I wasn't going into anaphylactic shock. It was just 2 days later, a day or two later, actually, that the headache would come. And I could see the direct correlation, and I was able to pinpoint the causation. And so I've gotten my life back because of you. And that was just the start. And so it was like, well, golly, if this works, then, maybe that might work. And we're going to talk a little about that. Now, I wouldn't go to you for a broken arm.
Right.
I would go to my regular doctor, ER, urgent care. And I've been thrown many a times from the horses, so I don't go to Mila for that. However, there are some things with lingering pain and treatments that you do have, but not the acute injury.
Yes.
So you don't do that anymore.
Right.
So every time I come into your, do you call it a clinic, your practice? It's huge.
It's fine.
It's in the Woodlands. If you are anywhere in the greater Houston area, she's the one to visit. She's got lots of practitioners and doctors that work with her. So, again, I'm going to have all of Mila's links, Dr. McManus's links, in the description, in the video description. And so you may want to give this place a call if you've got some kind of chronic thing going on, or if you're just looking at better health and wellness. Her practice is amazing. I love just being there.
Oh, that's sweet.
I do. I really do. And my husband is going there now. He's a patient of the Woodlands Institute of Health and Wellness, and going through a whole protocol of getting back to some wellness. So, Mila, tell me about what you said functional. You started off with holistic. What is functional medicine, and why isn't this used in traditional medicine? Where's the gap there? And so what is it and why not?
Functional medicine is everything we didn't learn in medical school, as you just said. And there's really no other good explanation for why we're not taught this in medical school other than the hand that's feeding us, like who is sponsoring medical school, who supports the medical schools. If you watch ads on TV, most of them are pharmaceutical commercials.
Oh, I know. We were watching something the other night, and it's like, And magazines with 4 pages of, somebody looking happy, but then the next 3 pages are, the tiny, tiny print. It's an encyclopedia of what could be wrong.
Of all the side effects, yeah.
But ask your doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's mind-boggling. And we have an audience all over the world. You guys know where you're from. And I think it's the U.S. that is the biggest abuser of this.
Yep.
Pimping out drugs to just us, lay people watching TV or reading a women's home magazine. We're just bombarded with drugs, and ask your doctor.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's up to us as physicians beyond medical school and residency training to look outside the box. So I think you'll find that any doctor like myself who's practicing functional medicine probably has a personal story behind it, and how they found it, and how it helped them, and how they wanted to pay it forward, and why they had to leave conventional medicine behind. And so functional medicine is about, instead of just, band-aiding an ill with every pill. I said that backwards anyways. So we want to get to the root causes of your issues. Instead of saying, oh, you have a headache? Okay, take some ibuprofen. How about, well, why are you having headaches? Let's look at, are your hormones balanced? Is it something in your diet? Are you missing a nutritional, a nutrient? Are you deficient in omega-3s or magnesium? How's your gut health? How's your stress level? All of those things might contribute to headaches. Food sensitivities, food allergies.
That was in the 40 years of my headaches at the time. No one had ever asked about my diet, my stress, or other than, try to avoid stress. Hello, life,
Oh, life does get in the way.
Not one nutritional counseling appointment, nothing. Just try this pill.
What also boggles the mind for me is that, we learn allergies in medical school, and if you want to go see your primary care doctor or an allergist and ask to be tested for allergies, you're likely to have that done. But what they're going to test for are IgE reactions. The majority of the time, that's what they're testing for. And the IgE reactions are true food allergies that trigger allergies and asthma and hives and anaphylaxis. And also, those foods that trigger those reactions are pretty immediate, usually within minutes, maybe sometimes hours.
So like nuts.
Exactly.
Yes.
And you can connect those dots, or if you eat something, you get immediate stomach ache. Or if you eat, put a peanut in your mouth and your lip swells up. So you can often connect the dots, not always, but sometimes you can connect the dots and figure that out. But food sensitivities, which are completely ignored in conventional medicine, I still don't know why. We have tested for food sensitivities for 20 years, and they are extremely helpful, like they were with Jeannie. And food sensitivities are virtually impossible to connect the dots because they are delayed reactions. Like you said, you have a headache. The migraines would have started a couple of days after you ate the eggs.
So there was never that correlation with me. I ate an egg, now I have a headache. And we just, newsflash, this is brand new, Zane just did this and came up, almonds.
Oh.
And, he's the kind of guy, I just have a handful of almonds when I'm hungry 3-4 times a day. So it's like no more almond flour and no more almonds.
Almonds, I have noticed, because I've been testing for food sensitivities for 20 years, I've noticed almonds being really common now as food sensitivities over probably the last several years. And I'm not exactly sure what the deal is, but I'm pretty sure it has something to do with everybody getting on the gluten-free bandwagon and using everything gluten-free. That's
and
often
low carb and
exactly that's often used in making health bars and alternative flours to cook things and bake things with. And so we're eating way more almonds than we used to. And when you were shocked that you were sensitive to eggs, well, And you say, but I eat them all the time. I'm like, well, that's why you got sensitivity to them. So it's important to rotate your foods and not eat the same thing every day. Allow your immune system to calm down. And so it also is what we say dose dependent. So that's why maybe your migraines were only occurring twice a month, not every single time you ate eggs every 5 days.
So
But 99% of the microbes on the planet are not harmful anyway.
Right.
And they're everywhere. They're all over us. They're inside of us, and they're everywhere. It doesn't mean they're harmful just because they say, well, look at your phone under black light and look at all the bugs that grow on it. Well,
But we're alive. We're still living through it.
Yeah. So what I like to say to my patients and whoever else will listen is, of all of the thousands of symptoms and diseases that are out there, the root causes of all of that, 99% of the time, boils down to about 10 things.
Whoa.
Yeah. So number one is compromised gut health. I also want to make a point that if you have obvious gastrointestinal issues, if you have reflux or you're on medication for reflux or heartburn or nausea, stomach aches, etc.,
IBS,
or
things
any
like
kind of IBS, if you suffer with constipation or loose stools or back and forth, and you know that sometimes stress will trigger IBS for you. So if you have obvious GI symptoms, we know that your gut health has been compromised. But absence of those symptoms does not mean your gut health is good.
Okay, so what is gut health?
So gut health is important because we look at the permeability of your gut, which is called leaky gut. And when I started doing this 20 years ago, I was just the biggest quack around. Leaky gut is not a thing, etc. Well, I will tell you this, because I still get all of the newsletters from conventional medicine in my inbox, along with all the functional medicine newsletters in my inbox. And I read it all because I want to be up on the up and up with everything. And now, even in our mainstream medicine newsletters, they talk about leaky gut.
Okay, because it's interesting. When I talked about this GAPS book, a couple people said there's no such thing as leaky gut, and I'm not a health practitioner in any sense of the word. So, if you do Google things, which isn't an accurate way to research health and wellness, but
It's a start.
It's a start, yeah. But it could also lead you down a rabbit hole that isn't. Kind of like Flat Earth Society. I mean, sorry if you're flat earthers out there. Okay, and so gut health. Let's get to what gut health is with the absence of symptoms.
So a good gut health is no GI symptoms. You're having regular bowel movements. And we were taught in medical school, by the way, that normal bowel function is up to 3 times a day, or as infrequent as 3 times a week, maybe. And no, not so much. 3 times a day, as long as they're normal stools, good for you. But if you're not having a bowel movement at least once a day, you are super toxic. You are asking for illness. So one of the first things we need to address is let's start improving our elimination pathways, including let's get your bowel function back to normal.
And that's not something that's talked about a lot. You don't go to a dinner party and ask, so how's your bowel function?
Right.
We don't talk about that. And yet it's our biggest thing from day one, day 0, actually, with meconium, and so it's like that's
Look
when
at
it
you
starts.
with all these big medical words you're using.
I know. I'm feeling all these books. I read them before you came.
Such a beautiful library, Jeannie.
I know. I'm feeling very smart.
Yeah, that's so good. So, also, good gut health means that you do not have leaky gut. It means the tight junctions, which are these, think of them as little gates that are closed between your cells that line the GI tract, okay? And when you have leaky gut, which happens for a variety of reasons, various medications can do it. Stress can contribute to it. Antibiotics, well, that's in the medication category, but dietary factors, pesticides, other toxins, you name it, lots of reasons to have leaky gut. But what leaky gut means is that these tight junctions, these gatekeepers of what is allowed into the body and what stays in the GI tract to be eliminated. So these tight junctions get loose, and it's like, well, the floodgates are open, and now you're absorbing more disease-causing bugs than you should be. You're absorbing more toxins than you should be, and you're absorbing food particles before they're fully digested. And that's when your immune system reacts and says, what is this? I don't recognize this. And that's how you get food allergies and food sensitivities.
Interesting. Wow. And so someone with some like IBS or Crohn's, the gut is already compromised.
100%.
In a huge way. And we talked about that earlier with my son and his Crohn's. You know, he's got lots of lesions throughout, you know, his entire system.
Has he seen a functional doctor yet?
He has not, but at, you know, somebody who's in their late 30s and, you know, I have very little control over that. I'm trying. Little by little, he actually has been cleaning up his diet. So,
Well, maybe he'll watch this video.
we'll see. So, you know, I just hope in what you're saying that some of you out there, you may have us on in the background just as blah, 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 while you are doing your daily work or whatever, and that's fine too. But if you're actually paying attention, I hope this is making some sense. And it may be that you're going, you know, aha. Because that's really what it was for you, was an aha moment.
Very
and
much.
my conversation with you that had me have an aha moment. And things. So can you elaborate on what else?
Yeah, we'll need to speed up on that, or we'll be here all day because I can talk about all this stuff forever.
I know. We could make a series here. Okay, so my sensitivity with eggs was headaches. What else do sensitivities cause as far as reactions or, you know, how they manifest in the body?
Okay. Yeah, so I mentioned with true food allergies, which are IgE antibody.
Immunoglobulin E.
You get allergies and asthma, and hives, anaphylaxis. With food sensitivities, you're not going to get anaphylactic reactions, but anything and everything else is pretty much fair game. And I've seen it all over the years. Food sensitivities can affect your brain and cause brain fog, mood swings. I've seen it trigger manic episodes in bipolar patients. I've seen that it has triggered autoimmune diseases in patients, and when they take the food away, their joint swelling goes away. I've seen it trigger all sorts of stomach issues, IBS issues, also sinus and allergy-like symptoms, skin problems. When you have compromised gut health, it will, if you have stuff manifesting on your skin, chronic rashes and things like that, you definitely have a gut problem.
I mean, sitting this close to you, your skin is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And I hadn't seen you for several years, and we met again at a party at your house, and it's like she hasn't aged a day.
Well, thank you. But anyways, food sensitivities can also manifest as all sorts of aches and pains too. And I remember vividly one of my patients many years ago, he found that eating strawberries triggered anxiety for him.
Wow. So right from the gut to an emotional response.
Yeah.
Wow.
100%. And I've seen patients where certain foods sugar is a very common one that will actually trigger depression. And, sugar is just inflammatory. We love it. We love these foods. They don't love us back.
They taste so good going in.
I know.
Now, is that because you get kind of a spike? Is that an insulin reaction thing? Or is it just a food sensitivity to sugar?
Yeah, I think sugar in general is inflammatory, but I've also seen people be sensitive to sugar on those reports that we do, the food sensitivity testing.
Wow. I guess I'm quite lucky it wasn't that.
Food sensitivities in general will increase inflammation in the body. So it can cause arthritis, lots of muscle pain, joint aches. I've seen food sensitivities cause bladder issues, heart arrhythmias.
And you talked about emotional reactions and depression. And it just makes me wonder, for people, have you ever just woken up and you're just blue all day or for a couple days and just everything is sad and bad and, you're just feeling so, and it could actually be something from your gut, and it's not necessarily your brain. It could be your gut.
Yeah.
Because it all starts in the gut.
Everything starts in the gut, pretty much. But that's a good segue to go over the other root causes of disease. So obviously gut health is number one. That's always the first thing I talk about because it is so critical to recovery from whatever ails you. You have to address your gut health, whether you think you have a gut health issue or not, like we talked about already.
Yeah.
So other ones are nutrition. Again, it was an aha moment for me. Like, oh, so Cheetos and honey buns might be my problem. Oh, nobody ever told me that. Not even in all my years of medical school. I had to take an elective to take nutrition, and it was about a class that long. It was ridiculous.
Basic nutrition.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I just continued all those years eating whatever I wanted. Nobody told me to clean up my diet. Nobody said anything about that. So nutrition is important, obviously. And so, so cleaning up your diet. We're realists, so we know that nobody's going to be perfect 100% of the time. I'm not, but I try my best. I try to, sometimes I'm on the 95-5 rule. Sometimes I'm on the 80-20 rule.
Yeah, if I want something sweet, I might have a sweet tart or a little piece of chocolate or whatever it is that is at someone's house. I'm not going to stress about it, but overall, I'm 90-10, 90% good, 10% if I feel like it,
Yeah, so, we all deserve a little grace, don't we?
A ho-ho now and then.
I don't know about that, but...
Yeah, I know. I haven't had a ho-ho in I don't know how long.
It's just fun to say ho-ho.
Yeah, ho-ho.
All right, so nutrition, and then also vitamin deficiencies, other nutrient deficiencies. Are you deficient in protein? For instance, one of the most commonly prescribed medications is proton pump inhibitors like Nexium, Prevacid, Prilosec, or the generics, pantoprazole, things like omeprazole, esomeprazole. Those are generic.
And what are those
names.
for?
Those are antacids that people live on. It just completely kills their acid in their stomach 24/7.
I married a guy like that.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to work on that.
Mr. Pepsi, not anymore.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
okay,
he
great.
was popping Pepsids before this was, actually, he started this when we came and saw you about our diet stuff. That's when, he got off the Pepsid. He just took it as, so when I go to bed at night, I don't have heartburn.
Oh, okay, just as a preventative.
Yeah,
okay.
Preventative. Let's just destroy my gut health.
Yeah, so a lot of people are out there taking it. Millions upon millions of people are taking those medications, not realizing the long-term ramifications of it. Because when you have zero acid in your stomach, you're asking for food poisoning because that is your first line of defense, the acid in your stomach, number one. Number two, by the way, I'm going to go off on a tangent here.
It's okay.
Reflux and heartburn is not an acid problem. It is a sphincter problem. The sphincter between your esophagus and your stomach is dysfunctional, and it's allowing stuff to come back up when it's not supposed to. What affects the sphincter? The bugs being out of balance in your GI tract, neurotoxins that we're all exposed to 24/7, side effects of other medications, and so on. So back to proton pump inhibitors, these antacids in general, if you're popping Tums all day, if you're taking Pepsid every day, things like that too. Well, you're not able to break down protein into amino acids, which is the state they need to be in to absorb into your body. And amino acids are the building block for everything in our body.
All 21.
Oh man, all of them. So you get protein deficient when you're on that, and then it also blocks absorption of very important minerals like zinc, magnesium, calcium. So, anyways, that was my tangent there, just to give one example.
It's a good tangent. That's
Okay.
and the thing is, they taste like candy. They're chewables, and they're good, and they're easy to pop, and every commercial just promotes them. So I know this is reaching somebody. I just know it is.
I hope so.
I know it is. I know it is.
I've been trying to get the word out for 20 years. So.
Yeah.
So, okay, more root causes. So, besides vitamin and other nutrient deficiencies, hormonal imbalances. I don't care what your blood work says. My business has grown over the years because I tell people I'm not just solely looking at your labs. I don't expect to see your hormones out of range on your labs, but that's not going to give me the whole picture. You know what gives me the picture? Your symptoms. If you're a woman and you're having PMS every month or cycle irregularities, your hormones are out of balance. Let's work on that. I don't need to see what a progesterone and estrogen level look like on your blood work to know that. Let's look and find toxins. Let's look at the root causes of the hormonal imbalance. It's not just about, okay, well, let's balance your hormones with hormones. It's like, okay, well, if we just clean up your diet and we clean up your gut and we manage your stress and we make sure you're nutritionally sound, hey, your hormones might just balance without hormones, right? So, okay, so also, same thing in men with testosterone issues. So testosterone has a very large normal reference range. And if you're down here at 350, well, okay, your doctor's going to tell you your testosterone level's okay. But if you're gaining weight and you're feeling kind of weak and you're tired and you're moody and you're not sleeping well and possibly having erectile issues or low sex drive issues and brain fog, forgetfulness, can't concentrate. Okay, well, those sound like low testosterone issues.
Even though you're coming up normal.
Yeah. But maybe that's not your normal. If the labs are created lab reference ranges are created on a bell curve. So, okay, well, if your test comes back on this side of the bell curve, well, how do we know that your normal isn't supposed to be here on this end? So you have to also listen to the patient and the symptoms.
Imagine that.
Yeah, so hormonal imbalances with or without abnormalities. Also, thyroid is another big one. People come in all the time with all of these symptoms like depression, fatigue, weight gain, hair loss, etc. And they're like, well, my thyroid levels are normal. I don't care.
The same thing, the bell curve. You might be here and you should be here.
Yes, but it's also what are the doctors checking? If all they're checking is the TSH level, okay, well, that's a screening tool. That's not a diagnostic tool. So if you come in with all these symptoms, your doctor should do a more thorough thyroid panel, number one. And number two, they don't, conventional medicine teaches us to use different thyroid labs than what we use in functional medicine. So we can sort of sift through and see more things with the labs that we do to look at thyroid function. But even if those levels that we do come back normal, okay, that tells me that your thyroid is producing hormone. So you've got thyroid hormones floating around in your blood. But guess what? They do nothing floating around in your blood. They have to get into your cells for your thyroid to have the action it needs. And so if it's not getting into the cells, well, why is that happening? And that's when we start unraveling the mysteries of what's going on and how to fix that problem.
So you're really an investigator.
I am a medical detective.
You are a medical detective. Wow.
Yes.
And it's interesting. You see nothing like this on TV, in terms of anything.
I don't know about anybody else, but I can't afford the advertising time during the Super Bowl.
Well, not only then, but just in regular PM time, we were counting all the drug things coming up, and those drug companies are paying top dollar, and you can't compete with that.
No. None of us
Yeah.
can. None of us can.
So,
So, okay, we talked about hormones. Now, another one is toxins.
I hear that word a lot.
Everybody's
and you
toxic.
see in the vitamin aisles, detox, this, that, the other. Tell me about toxins and detox and detoxifying and all that.
Oh gosh, yeah. Toxins are everywhere. Everybody's toxic. I've been detoxing for 20 years and I just did a total toxin test and I'm still toxic. And some of that is because of my genetics, which is another root cause. And so we don't all detoxify at the same rate because of genetic factors, gut health factors, nutritional factors. So, like, you need B vitamins, for instance, to detoxify. Well, are you stressed? Because when you're stressed, your body's burning through B vitamins. So that's why when you're looking on the aisles for a stress B complex or stress supplement, they all have lots of B vitamins in them. So, yeah, right. So toxins are everywhere. We cannot avoid them. As much as we need to, but there are a lot of things we can do. We can look for cleaner personal care products like shampoos and soaps and deodorants, household cleaning products. Make sure you're drinking filtered water. Quit drinking out of plastic bottles. Use everything like food containers. Try to stick with glass or stainless steel.
Yeah.
Don't use nonstick pans. Use the cleaner pans, ceramic pans, things like that to cook with.
And I'm going to insert this here. I learned this, so maybe 15, 20 years ago. I used to raise lovebirds. And we went to Europe for a couple weeks, and I had this whole new clutch. And the mom and dad were in a separate cage, and the babies were in this cage, and they were being hand-fed. And my mom and dad were watching them, and my mom was making some fajitas. Now, the mother and father, Meanie and Weenie, were in a separate cage out on the porch. And the babies were in the dining room. Well, my mom heated some fajitas up, took them out to my dad, and by the time she came back, she walked by the cage. Every single baby was dead on the bottom of the cage. She had no idea, but she had heated. She had heated up that Teflon pan. I'm just going to call it out. Mm-hmm. And we learned that nonstick surfaces are toxic to birds. And I started thinking, well, if they do that to a bird, kill it like that, what are they doing to a new mother who's pregnant and cooking her scrambled eggs over this $3 pan that you can buy anywhere because it's cheap and it's got that Teflon on it? Or to us,
They're everywhere. We can't avoid them. And that's why you must drink filtered water. You must pay attention. Be your own health advocate in that area. In all the areas, rather, but we're talking about toxins right now. Heavy metals, and you find them in places you're not expecting them. You may think that you're doing everything well, and you're eating turmeric, and you're putting turmeric powder on all your food because you've heard all these amazing things about turmeric. Well, turmeric is often full of lead because what happens is it's coming from outside the country. Then it hits other hands, brokers, distributors, whatever we call them. And turmeric, and among other things, are sold by weight. Well, guess what? Lead is a heavy metal that weighs a lot more than turmeric powder. So they cut the turmeric with lead. Yeah.
Wow. I have never heard this.
Yeah.
So are there sources that are better than others? Is that...
Well, I haven't done those tests myself, but obviously looking for something that's got the USDA organic stamp on it.
Okay.
Hopefully, might be better. But I guess your best bet is to get real turmeric root and eat it that way. But be careful with turmeric supplements. Same problem.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, supplements are not all created equal. I've been preaching that from the rooftops forever because there are a million brands of supplements. How can you possibly know which one to get? And so if you're looking at this wall of supplements at whatever store you're in or online, a lot of people, if they don't know better, they'll just pick the pretty one or the gummies, or because they're candy, or the cheapest, right? But you absolutely get what you pay for. And you really need to vet the sources of your supplements too, because there's a big website out there that sells a lot of things. Do we want to say the name of it? Anyways.
That shows up on our doorstep every day.
Yes,
with a smile arrow.
Yes, I get, several boxes a day from that company, but I don't order personal care products, and I definitely wouldn't order supplements on that website, because independent studies showed that at least 1 out of every 2 supplements sold on that website are counterfeit. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And where are they coming from? Do you know?
No idea.
We have no idea.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I like to know where my supplements are coming from. So get them from a trusted source. Yeah. So, we were talking about toxins. So supporting your detox pathways is important. And I mentioned elimination pathways in the beginning of this interview. So when I was talking about that, you can detox all day long. You can take binders. You can take supplements that tout to be detoxifiers. But all you're going to do if your elimination pathways aren't functioning is you're just going to keep recycling them in the body, and you're going to feel worse. So first you need to make sure you have good elimination pathways, which are our drainage pathways. So we call it detox versus drainage. So our drainage or elimination pathways are through urine. So hydrate, and hydrate. So you can urinate out some toxins. Make sure your bowel function is good and regular. And then also we breathe out toxins. Deep breathing exercises is always a good idea anyway to help calm us down and all those things.
Yeah.
And then we also through our skin, so sweating is really important. If you're not a sweater, then, get in, at least at minimum, take hot baths regularly.
Baths? So
yeah, hot baths,
I love hot baths.
Maybe help you sweat, right? But don't put a bunch of chemically enhanced things in there. Plain old Epsom salt. Yeah, or just some essential oils. Something like that would be good. But saunas, infrared saunas, or even plain dry saunas. You can do those at a gym. You can buy one for your house. They don't have to be the super expensive. Or if you don't have space in your house, you can get little ones that fold down and you can keep them in your closet or under the bed. You can look at secondary markets for used saunas, like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, that type of thing.
So red sauna, I've seen a lot of those in advertising and different things. And there's sometimes different light, different colors too for different things. Mm-hmm. But you just suggest the red.
Infrared saunas.
Not just a red light. Okay.
Infrared heat penetrates deeper into the body versus dry heat. So when you're in a dry sauna, you're heating yourself from the outside in. And so you can sweat pretty quickly in a dry sauna, and you usually have to crank it up really high. And I don't like dry saunas because I can't handle that heat.
Yeah, I like moist saunas with steam saunas.
Yeah. Oh, I love steam saunas with eucalyptus or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
With infrared saunas, the actual, therapeutic temperature range is about 110 to 125 or so. So it's very tolerable temperature wise, and then it's penetrating and it's heating you from the inside out. So a lot of people who are not used to sweating, like the more you use it, the quicker you'll sweat. But some people, they're sitting in there for 15-20 minutes before they even break a sweat. And then, but the more you use it, you'll realize, oh, okay, I was 7 minutes, I feel a bead of sweat going down my back.
A glow.
And the glow. So the last thing I want to mention about elimination pathways is your lymphatic system. It is your sewage system, and it runs right along your blood vessels and eventually dumps into your blood. And so you don't want to just be circulating that. Plus, lymph can get stagnant. And so you want lymphatic flow to be really good to help with those drainage pathways. So dry brushing is one of the techniques you can use for that. Just move, bounce, get on a rebounder, those little bitty trampolines, but, go on walks. But movement is what's going to help move your lymph as well. So
we went to somebody's house for dinner, and she had that.
The vibration plate.
Vibration plate.
Yes. Okay.
And I mean, we can be serious, but we can be funny.
I have one of those too, vibration plate.
And I got on it. She starts turning it up, and and she turned it up and turned it up. Stop! I thought I was going to pass out.
Some of them are more intense than others.
Yeah, but it was like, okay, crank it up on me. I'm tough.
That one was trying to slap fat cells off the body or something.
And it almost did. I think I lost a chunk,
But you got really good lymph flow that night.
So that's what that would do then.
Yeah.
It's the movement. Okay, so
Move.
a sedentary life is not conducive to good health.
That's right.
Yeah.
I would like to quote my mother, as I do often, which is, honey, I think there's at least one study out there that shows that exercise is good for you.
At least one.
At least one. So
move.
yeah,
You've got to move it. Move it.
Yes, let's move. All right, so
Okay.
so we're talking about toxins, detoxing drainage pathways. Another root cause, microbes, microorganisms, which she knows a lot about, given her background. But, microorganisms, I'm talking about parasites, bacteria, viruses. Now, we have a lot of beneficial microbes in our body that we need that have a synergistic relationship that help us digest our food. Some of our gut bugs actually produce some vitamins for us, actually help produce neurotransmitters, chemicals in our brains. So, if your gut's not healthy, it's going to affect your brain, hence gut and psychology syndrome. So,
Yeah.
it's a real thing. So microbes, sometimes it's an infection that has been going on for years and you have no idea it's there. If you have a lot of dental work, if you have root canals and things like that, or you may have an abscessed tooth you don't know about, but if you have root canals or a lot of dental work or amalgam or silver fillings, you should absolutely look into getting your mouth cleaned up with a biologic dentist. Biologic dentists are like the functional medicine doctors of dentistry. So look for a biologic dentist. And sometimes all of your issues might be right here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right next to your brain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, people can have certain bacterial, viral, parasitic infections for years that go undiagnosed. They're hard to find. They're not all in your gut. You're not pooping out tapeworms all day. It's not like that. Parasites get everywhere. They can take up residence in your brain. They can take up residence in your lungs and your liver. They're not just in your GI tract. So we do like to address parasites. Everybody needs what I call critter control. We all need critter control.
Critter control.
Yes.
I love that.
And then, some of you out there may have heard of Lyme disease. So that's sort of become extremely rampant. Quest Lab, several years ago, published a statement that they have found CDC positive Lyme testing in all 50 states, and that was several years ago.
Not just the Northeast.
Right. Oh, absolutely. It's everywhere. It's all over the world. And when you, ask a doctor, a regular doctor, to check for Lyme disease, and they use Quest Lab, the chances are slim to none that they're going to find it that way. So it's difficult, but there are newer, better tests out there in the functional medicine world that we can offer that conventional medicine unfortunately doesn't. And
wow.
And so, and even the CDC several years ago admitted that they grossly underestimated the cases of Lyme disease. They used to post on their website it was about 30 to 40,000 people a year, and they admitted that they were off by minimum 10x. So at that point, several years ago, it was 350 to 400,000 of cases of Lyme per year, and now it's at least 500,000 cases per year. And those are the ones that conventional medicine actually finds.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, because those are CDC numbers.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's actually much worse than that. So it's a real, real rampant problem. And Lyme disease is known as the great imitator. So Lyme disease can manifest as autoimmune diseases, as psychiatric problems, as skin rashes, as arthritis. It's crazy. Heart problems. So, and then viruses. So viruses, once you have a virus, you have that virus. You're relying on your immune system to keep it dormant. And a lot of things can reactivate certain viruses. Almost everybody walking around outside has Epstein-Barr virus. 95% of people, minimum, have Epstein-Barr virus in their bodies. And if you have a adequate immune system, it'll keep it dormant. So we're not all walking around like zombies with our Epstein-Barr. But certain things, we've seen COVID infection reactivate Epstein-Barr virus. And then that can contribute to long COVID symptoms, chronic fatigue, headaches, aches and pains, brain fog, horrible brain fog. Epstein-Barr virus and Lyme disease actually have a lot of overlapping symptoms, like with the cognitive issues and joint and muscle pain, things like that, and chronic.
Wow, Epstein-Barr. That's amazing. And so is that testable?
Oh, yes. Epstein-Barr virus, you can test all day long. Ask your doctor to test for it. And Epstein-Barr, interestingly, is one of the very few, if only, bugs out there where you have to rely on IgG antibodies only. So you have IgG, IgM that are tested for with usually when you're looking for bacterial infections and such. And IgM antibodies, if those show up, that tells you that it's either a recent or an active infection. IgG can't really tell you that. It tells you that you've been exposed to that bug, but we don't know if it's active or past infection. So when we see IgM, we can be like, oh yeah, we know for sure that it's active. But Epstein-Barr is one of those that we have to rely on IgG only. And so you follow those levels over time. Are they trending up, the IgG levels? And there's also different antibodies to look for with Epstein-Barr. So one of the ones that I really like to look at is the early antigen. So ask your doctor if you want to get tested for Epstein-Barr. Tell them to make sure they also add early antigen for Epstein-Barr. Yes. Yeah, because if that's super high, then that's a really good indicator that it's active.
For me, though, it just seems like the onus that the fact that we have to ask for that in traditional medicine, and I love that with you. You're outside the box looking at these things, and I don't have to be the smart one. I trust you. Although I always feel smarter after being with her. IgG and IgM and
meconium.
Meconium.
I can't believe you spit that word out. Because I mentioned genetics earlier, and it's really what we're talking about is a field of genomics. Obviously, genetics too play a role, what you're born with, and if you know that certain things run in the family, and there's specific gene mutations that have been looked at by geneticists or whatever in conventional medicine. But genomics also pretty much ignored in conventional medicine. In genomics testing we do a lot. It's a simple cheek swab test.
So just buccal cells.
Yeah, and so genomics is looking at what we call SNPs, which is SNP, which stands for single nucleotide polymorphism. And those are like just teeny tiny mutations in a gene. But if you're looking at, let's say, your methylation pathways, and you're looking at 15 genes in your methylation pathway, or your inflammation pathway, or your detox pathways, and you've got little mutations in 10 of those 15 genes, well, a little gene mutation can cause big problems. So, I've got some of those SNPs that affect my ability to detoxify. So I have to stay on top of that all the time.
What I find fascinating in that is how there are our bodies are amazing. Our bodies are, for the most part, very beautiful, self-protective, but they find ways around, and yet you may be tired or you may have some of these symptoms that you've talked about because your body, whatever, is doing a go-around. It's doing a detour, but you're not at your highest functioning level. you may have some of these symptoms. And so,
Yeah.
it's hard to know when enough is enough. When are you at enough is enough? What is that level?
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like a 20-year-old anymore, but you at 20 felt like crap.
I felt terrible.
Yeah. So, wow, I'm just, my head is just so full of this stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah. It is. It's quite eye-opening, and I love to educate, because it's, now that functional medicine is more mainstream a little bit compared to when I started this 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's still, we are still a needle in a haystack when you're trying to find a local functional medicine doctor in your neighborhood. So, but it is starting to at least get on the map. It's all over social media now. So,
Yeah.
that helps.
And
but I'm like,
you've encouraged organic, grass-fed and finished, not, the corn-fed finished, if beef and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And so and it's much more readily available, like at farmers markets.
Yeah.
You have people, locally sourced, beef and pork or chicken or whatever, and eggs and vegetables that are organic. And you've been a big proponent of that.
absolutely.
Just in your diet.
Well, yeah, and the EWG, which is ewg.org, which is the Environmental Working Group, and every year they put out the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. Do you know about that?
I have the thing downstairs.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, I go shopping with it.
So while yes, if you can buy everything organic, please do. But what their EWG is saying with their little list of the Dirty Dozen is, these are the worst, and it changes every year. It's sometimes broccoli's on there and sometimes it isn't.
Yeah.
So you have to look at it updated one every year. And at least for those Dirty Dozen, please do your best to be able to afford that organically. And then with the Clean 15, again, if you can buy everything organic, please do. But with the Clean 15, they're saying, hey, these aren't as toxic.
So toxins, wow. So toxins in our foods, toxins perhaps in our vitamins. Where else?
Yeah, medications. I forgot to say that earlier when I was talking about the toxins. But medications are toxic to the body. They are not natural substances that your body wants in them. Yes, there is a time and a place for medications. Sometimes you have to have them. But you need to look at seeing a functional medicine specialist, a holistic practitioner who can help you minimize the number of medications you're taking.
I've gone onto your website and you have so many amazing links to just read about and be, self-education, because we're we have to be our own best advocates, because it's not easy, in traditional medicine. You just kind of go when you need something, and
Yeah.
But so you started the Woodlands Institute for Health and Wellness in what year?
2004.
2004. And it has grown and grown, and it's been so exciting to watch, and everybody that works there is just so wonderful, and
Amazing staff.
yeah, amazing staff. Okay, and so these root causes are just like blowing my mind.
I think I covered most of them. I would just say we'll cover one last one real briefly, and that is stress.
Stress.
Does anybody have stress? We all have stress. We can't control our stressors all the time. But that's why it's important to manage that stress as best you can, whatever that looks like. Go hide in a closet every now and then and just give yourself some quiet time.
ASMR.
Yes, ASMR.
ASMR.
Oh my
Which
gosh.
really is a big, I would say, a partner in stress reduction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, from what I hear from you guys, telling me how you study better, with ASMR and get more sleep, which is, hand in hand with what you're doing with functional medicine.
Yeah.
So we're kind of medical partners.
Yes, we are. Very synergistic.
Dr. Jeannie B.
Yes, so ASMR is a very good way to help
Yeah.
relax you if you're into that. And yeah.
Yeah, you know, what's interesting is we were out to dinner, her husband and, my husband and the two of us, and the guys are talking, and we started talking about what ASMR is and what I did, and she was like, wow, that is like right along this pathway with what I'm doing. And it's like, so yeah, that was fun. Do you remember where we were?
Yes,
I do too.
It was fantastic.
It was so good.
So do what you can to reduce your stress.
Yeah.
I know we can't always choose our family or choose what's going on in the government or, choose what we're doing with work, etc. But, you've got to take some me time and figure it out, or you're just asking for illness.
I know I can be kind of a control freak. I don't know if it's a control freak, but I want to control, like, my family. I want to, if you do this, this outcome will be better. And if you do this, and da 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 da. And there are times you just have to say, you're on your own path. I'm here. But I can't control it all. I can't control it all. And you have to let go. And I was an overachiever. And so I want everything in my sphere to be doing well, and sometimes it can't be.
She needs some stress management too.
I do.
We all do.
See my circles?
We all do.
We all do. We all do. So let's circle back to gut health.
Okay.
Because clearly this is all pointing, a lot of this is just pointing to gut health, starting here. And the whole, neurotransmitters thing and depression and, emotional downs or emotional episodes or, things like that. Let's talk about getting our gut into shape, because you've worked with me on that. Zane, my husband, is currently working on that. And what does that mean and what does that look like?
Well, for patients who can come into the clinic, we're board certified. I'm sorry, we're licensed in Texas only currently, and so we do have patients come see us from all over. So if you're able to come into the clinic, what our gut cleanse looks like is we call it our health reset protocol, and for most people, it's 4 weeks. And we use some medications to rebalance the tiny little bugs that live in our gut.
Would you call that critter control?
Yep. We're working on critter control.
You're doing critter control.
Yeah. So as we're removing the bad bugs, we are replenishing the good bugs with what we call probiotics. Also, you can eat probiotic foods like fermented foods, but replenishing all those good guys. So in about 4 weeks, it can be pretty life-changing for most people. If it's not, usually it's like, well, guess what? You get to do it another month.
Yeah.
But that's not common. 4 weeks for most people can be absolutely life-changing.
Yeah.
So that's where we start. And that, our patients will meet with our nutritionist on staff. And we give our patients an instruction booklet with all the, do's and don'ts and how's and why's. We give a big fat cookbook and we're like, let's go. And we're here to hold your hand. And meeting with the nutritionist, she's going through it with you, explaining everything to you. And, we're all here to help and be cheerleaders and hold our patients' hands as best we can. So for people who don't have the luxury of coming to us, and clearly a lot of you don't live anywhere near me, we actually...
Too bad. Move. Come.
Please, we like Texas.
Come to Texas.
We have what we call a DIY version. So it's a DIY health reset protocol, which is do it yourself, in case you didn't know that. And so what we do is we give you access to video modules that we created on our website that teach you just as my nutritionist and I would if you had come into the clinic. Okay. And we have downloadable versions, so e-versions of the instruction booklet and the cookbook. And then we use supplements. So instead of prescription medications for the critter control, we use, these are private labeled as part of our kit. but it says gut support, HRP, a gut support. HRP stands for Health Reset Protocol. And so the gut support is a blend of herbals that we know will help to balance the microbes that live in your gut. Critter control. Then we have digestive enzymes. These are called HRP Digest. So digestive enzymes are amazing. I prescribe these all the time. They're not necessarily a one-size-fits-all. So it is for this particular kit, but these work a lot of the time, but sometimes they're not enough, or sometimes you need to take more. Different blends of different enzymes. Sometimes, people who've had gallbladder removal, they might need more of lipase, which is the enzyme that breaks down fats. Some people with gluten intolerance might need something with a special type of digestive enzyme that helps you break down gluten better. It's not really a license to cheat, like, hey, I'll just take these pills and go eat pizza every day. It's not like that. Sorry, Charlie. So, but digestive enzymes are multifunctional. Number one is when you take them with food, they help you digest your food more thoroughly to be less allergenic and less inflammatory to the body. They also help with all the types of gastrointestinal issues that people have, like stomach aches and heartburn and irregular bowel movements. So digestive enzymes are pretty harmless. You can get them at almost any store probably. And if you're already taking one or you've tried one and you feel like it didn't work, try a different one. Yeah. And then we also sometimes, depending on the severity of one's symptoms, we might have them take digestive enzymes also, not instead of, but also between meals. So that instead of them being used up digesting your food for you, they will absorb directly into your body and go around like little Pac-Men chewing up inflammatory and allergenic proteins that are already in your body.
I hear them. Waka, 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 waka.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
So we also use a probiotic, which is really potent probiotic. There are a gazillion probiotics on the market. They're also not all created equal. We like to use one that's at least 25 billion with a B, 25 billion CFU, which is colony forming units, which is just a measure of how much bacteria is in there. But there are so many on the market that are less than 1 million CFUs, or
so it's a pinprick.
we're talking about orders of magnitude different potency, right?
Yeah.
And then some of them may be just one bacterial strain of probiotic, and sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes we use that, but other times it's like you need really broad spectrum. One of the problems with people who have compromised gut health is they have what we call low diversity, which means you don't have the right amounts of lots of different bugs. They're not so diverse. And so why not take a broad spectrum probiotic that has lots of different types of probiotic bacteria in it?
And let's see. What is that?
So this one is called Symptom Support. This is sodium bicarbonate.
Baking soda.
Exactly, with some potassium bicarbonate. So this, what we call symptom support, is because baking soda, basically, is what we're talking about here, can do amazing things. Go read a book you can get on Amazon called Sodium Bicarbonate. And you can read about amazing things that plain old Arm & Hammer baking soda can do for you.
It's what my dad used to give us when we had upset tummies. He would put baking soda in water, and that's what we drink.
Yeah.
You can use burp it.
And so we do recommend that while people are going through this cleanse, because it can cause some of those detox type symptoms. I mentioned detox symptoms of recirculating toxins. Your elimination pathways may not be good, but also because you're killing off these bad bugs. And so imagine these bugs just exploding and releasing all their toxins at once, and that can make you not feel so well. So I have not been able to predict over the years other than people who don't have good elimination pathways, who's going to really suffer and who's not. It's not like you can't get through your day and go to work and all of those things. It's more what we see is that somebody might say, oh, I got a little rash, or oh, my skin's itchy, or I'm feeling kind of brain foggy today, or you may notice mood changes in your bowel function. You might swing from one end of the spectrum to the other with that. You may be cranky here or there. But, other people also who I think, oh man, this person might not do so well. And they just, starting on day 1 or 2, they're like, I have never felt this good in my life.
Wow. Yeah. So, okay, so this is all in the DIY kit. Mm-hmm. And is that orderable online? Can somebody order that from you?
Yeah, so we have a special discount we're offering for Jeannie's followers.
And we will link that in the description and the comment, in the pinned comment. I'm going to put that in there for you. Thank you for that, because that is really nice for people who can't come in and see you. And if you are in the greater Houston area, it's worth the drive. I mean, Houston's the 4th largest city in the United States. So, to say, oh, come if you live in Houston, it's a big city. But going to your place is worth it.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Find the anti-commute hour, and come in and see Mila. Or
we do virtual appointments too.
And virtual appointments.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
We do, yeah. And also, if you live inside the United States, then we can ship you the kit with the supplements included. If you live outside of the United States, we can still have another option for you to do everything virtually through the website, and then we will instruct you on finding a source for the supplements that you're going to need.
So doing this health reset could be step 1 for determining, wow, I'm feeling better. And, the gut, it starts in the gut. I'm feeling better. And a lot of these other things may just clear up. There may still be more investigative work to do, but this is clearly a great step 1.
Health reset protocol. We went round and round about naming that protocol, and it just makes sense because it's doing so many things. It's reducing inflammation. It's eliminating the most inflammatory, the most allergenic foods from your diet. We're teaching you how to eat. We're teaching you portion sizes. We're teaching you about food sensitivities and enzymes and myths around certain types of foods and
and they're all out there. And food nowadays, you walk through a grocery store and it's just all the packaged stuff looks so good. Mm-hmm. It just does. It's colorful, the boxes are colorful, and I find that I'm typically just trying to stay on the perimeter of the grocery store because that's where depending on the grocery store you're in and the kind of grocery store you're in. But for the most part, it's the organic aisle, and...
unfortunately, the FDA, who's the one who allows all that stuff on those grocery shelves, doesn't really have your back like you think.
No.
So just because you see a food in a box on a shelf in the store doesn't mean it's okay to have in your pantry.
And I've noticed, too, that, like, when we're in Europe, there are a lot of things that they don't sell that they have, I don't know if the word, they've banned that we still do. Mm-hmm. And, it's true. It is really amazing. And we were talking about glyphosate, being commonly used in, vineyards. I know this. And it can still be called organic. So, yeah, I know.
It's terrible.
I know. So, okay. So, we have gone through a lot. And I hope there is something in here that you can relate to. Or, if anything, like I said, it's a long blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah,
and
blah.
It just calms you down.
Blah, blah, blah.
Anything in there that you want to...
Well, this is the instruction booklet. that you'll download.
The do-it-yourself health reset protocol.
Yes. So
Yeah, this is, and as I've always told you guys, I would never put something in front of you that I don't believe in myself. And she has kept me healthy and looking good. Okay, not my hair, but well, my hair too.
It looks
but,
great.
Yeah. No, I mean,
you look fine. You look fantastic.
well, no, you don't do my hair, but I get a lot of compliments on, oh, your skin looks good, you look great, and yeah, my lights are good, and yeah, I put my makeup on, but it really does come from the inside, and it works out. You can't put the lipstick on a pig and have that pig really be healthy. I don't know if that's the greatest analogy, but
I say that.
So we have just felt amazing at everything we've done through your what do you call it, clinic?
Sure.
Yeah,
Clinic.
I mean, it's just
Center for Healing.
Center for Healing. It really is, and everybody there is so wonderful. So
I agree. Well, I would like to just say one other thing that came to mind, and that is that if you are on blood sugar or blood pressure medication, you should keep an eye on your blood sugar and blood pressure if you're going to do this kit, because people don't realize how sometimes drastically their blood sugar and or blood pressure can improve while they're going through this process.
Oh, and you're taking something perhaps to lower it.
Yeah. So be careful.
Okay. And I'd like to ask, where do you see functional medicine in 10 years?
Well, it sure has taken a long time, 20 years, just to get where we are today. But it's amazing how much it's on social media, but usually in the form of practitioners like me trying to talk to the masses, trying to raise awareness. It's in 10 years, I really hope that conventional medicine can just be a little less narrow-minded about it.
Yeah.
And it's not really their fault. It's really like, this is what we're taught in medical school, and this is what we're supposed to do with that information. We're supposed to prescribe medications and do surgeries. And then it's like tunnel vision after that.
Yeah.
And I can see that happens. And that's why I said in the beginning, like, you'll when you find a doctor like myself, usually we have a story and we have a reason why we jumped ship and clinged on to what we know works really well.
And I appreciate what you said about staying in touch with all the conventional stuff too. You read it all. And so I can, when we go out, I can say, hey, have you heard about this, that, or the other? Oh yeah, I read something about that 3 months ago. So she's, she really is. She's one of the smartest friends I have.
Oh, Jeannie's so sweet.
So I hope you guys found this interesting. I know it's really different in terms of what I bring to you, but we tried to keep it soft and quiet, and if anything, a really good blah, 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 a nice long blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah.
Blah, blah.
Blah, blah.
She's a good blah, blah.
Blah, blah.
Yeah, but it's one of, I think, this could be transformational for you. And that's what I would like to see. A transformation that you picked up on something and you can pick up the reins and make a really wonderful change in your health, in your emotional health, your gut health, your mental health, your, everything health.
That's right.
So we're going to sign off. Check out the description. Check out the pinned comment that I will have something there for you.
Yep.
And I look forward to hearing, what you got out of this, if there was something you heard. It's not going to be a debate. If you say, but I don't have time to debate you, nor do I have the experience and expertise to debate you on something. So if, you have that, but I would like to know if there's something that, a pathway you're going to follow within this. So, because I truly do wish you well, and I know you do. I mean, you really care about your patients.
I really do.
Yeah.
And I wish you all the best. Be well.
Thank you so much for being here and taking time out of your extremely busy schedule. I'm honored, and so I'm going to sign off for now. Wish you well. I wish you peace, joy, no stress, and love.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Bye for now. See you in the next video.